welcome to the November 7th meeting of the City of Lowell License Commission. Was the meeting posted? Okay, first on the agenda.
Approval of minutes for the meeting of October 24th.
Commissioner Krieger, do you have any
Yes.
comments?
I realize that I'm swimming against the tide, but I'd like to delete the word interim where it's found.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 So moved.
Commissioner, for purposes of last week, I had requested William Fuller, manager of the bartending service of New England, communicated on November 5th. He wished that the license that was approved by the License Commission at our meeting on October 24th be canceled. That would be the license for special one-day license for malt beverages and wine only, or either one, which was granted and was not issued, but granted to William Fuller of the Bartending Service of New England, LLC, for a concert to be held at the Lowell Memorial Auditorium at 50 East Merrimack Street for Saturday, November 16th, 2013, 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. And if the commission will just accept that as a ratification or approve that as...
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So moved.
And for ratification, the issuance of a special one-day license for malt beverages and wine only, or either one, to Michael J. Lindsay for Sunday, November 3rd, 2013, from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. The event was the Irish tenor Ronan Tynan at the Lowell Memorial Auditorium, 50 East Merrimack Street. License number is 142SP 2013, issued on October the 31st, 2013.
I move that we ratify.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So moved.
And the commission will now take up the application for a special one-day license application for wine only. Steve Syverson, President of the Arts League of Lowell, for Saturday, December 14th, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. It is the Artist Reception Members Holiday Show at 307 Market Street.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Steve Severson?
Okay, Mr. Severson, you've had a license with us before, correct?
Yes, 5 so far.
5 so far. All right, no issues?
No issues at all.
Everything's good?
Yep.
All right, let's keep it that way. You guys have any questions?
No.
Move accept.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
Yep, good luck.
Commission will now review the applications for malt beverage and wine only, or either one. Christine Chuck Trainer of Aramark for Friday, November 15th, from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. The event is the UML Gender Studies Faculty Reception to be held at the Allen House, 2 Solomon Way, at the UML South Campus. Also, Christine has, for the event, which is actually, for correction, it's Thursday, November 21st, not Wednesday, November 21st, 5:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. The event is the UML Mechanical Engineering Reception to be held at the UML Emerging and Innovation Center, 40 University Ave.
Christine, introduce yourself for the record.
Sure. Christine Chuck Trainer.
Okay. Christine, we haven't had any issues with any of your licenses, right?
No, we always have UMLPD on staff, so.
Great.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 So moved.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Commission will now conduct the hearings on complaints filed by the interim superintendent of police, Deborah Friedel, for the restaurant and package store licensees as a result of compliance checks conducted by the Lowell Police Special Investigations. First one is hearing for number 2 China Star LLC, 1733 Middlesex Street. Ken F.G., manager of record, the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee. The allegations are sale of alcohol beverage to a person under 21 years of age, that's violation of Chapter 138, Section 34. Failure to display Alcohol Beverage Control Commission posters stating summary of law, which is Chapter 138, Section 34A. And failure to display ABCC posters of penalties for driving under the influence.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Attorney John Cox, 755 Dutton Street, Lowell, Massachusetts. I represent Mr. John Lee, who's the owner of the establishment, as well as Ken G., who's the manager, both individuals who are here, and here to answer the complaint filed by the interim superintendent.
Okay. Would you like the complaint read into the record?
We don't disagree with anything in the complaint, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Lieutenant, if you could just summarize what is in the complaint?
Hey, good evening. For the record, I'm Lieutenant Frank Rowan from the Lowell Police Department's Criminal Investigations Division. I'm substituting for Captain Webb this evening. Briefly, on September 27th, 2013, detectives assigned to the Special Investigations Section of the Lowell Police Department under the command of Captain Webb conducting alcohol compliance checks in various liquor establishments in the city. The detectives were assisted in these checks by a 20-year-old female. Underage operative had no identification and only cash, which had been provided to her by the detectives. Approximately 6:31 p.m., the female operative entered the China Star restaurant at 1733 Middlesex Street. 20-year-old ordered a Bud Light beer from the male bartender, was then served a bottle of Budweiser beer without being asked for identification. The female paid for the beer and left the premises. Captain Webb and Detective Callahan entered the restaurant and identified the bartender as Wing Chun Kwan and advised him of the violation. It was also noted that the required Alcohol Beverage Control Commission warning signs were not posted on the premises. This evening we have from the Special Investigations Section of the Police Department, Detectives Crystal Downs and William Callahan here to offer testimony in relation to this case.
Okay. Attorney Cox?
Mr. Chairman, as we say, we do not refute anything that the lieutenant has stated. Just a little bit of history on the business. China Star 2, which is on Middlesex Street here in Lowell, and owned by Mr. Johnny Lee, who's here. He also owns China Star 1 on Broadway in Lowell. He employs about 30 people, full-time and part-time. He is a small business person. He began this establishment on Middlesex Street back in April. There has been no situations at either establishment, certainly not before the License Commission, but I don't believe before the Lowell Police either. All of their bartenders and staff people are, I was saying tip certified, but I showed my age. Apparently now it's serve safe certified. The bartender who served the young woman in question and without requesting an ID was let go right after the incident. Clearly, Mr. Lee is sorry for what happened. He understands the seriousness of making sure that everyone is of age when they go into his establishment. As I said, he's a small business person. They have ordered the signs from the ABC. They said we're told it would be within 10 business days, so they're awaiting delivery of those signs. But we would ask that the board look on the fact that he is a small business person. He has two businesses, neither of which have had any situations. This is an isolated incident, and one which I feel very confident after speaking with Mr. Lee and Mr. G, the manager, that this will not happen again, and you will not see them here before you again. So we would ask that the board look favorably upon this establishment and a warning or whatever the board would seem appropriate.
So the warning signs from the ABCC has been ordered, and they'll be put up as soon as
Correct.
they're received.
Yes, they were told within 10 business days they'd be delivered.
All right. If your clients could just come up to the
Sure.
podium, it'd be,
This is Mr. Johnny Lee, the owner, and this is Ken G, the manager.
okay. The city of Lowell is a college town, okay? If you get a reputation of serving underage patrons, it may increase your business, but you're gonna get yourself in trouble. When I was in college, there was a Chinese restaurant that served the underage, and the place was mobbed, but it ended up going out of business because they kept getting penalized by their local board. And that's what's gonna happen here if it continues to happen. These compliance checks are meant to keep you on your toes and to make sure that you're following the general laws of the Commonwealth and the rules and regulations of the City of Lowell License Commission. Believe me, if this is you'd be very lucky if this is the only time that this has happened. You just happened to serve one guy under the age of 20 that happened to be working with the Lowell Police. It's highly unlikely. So you gotta make sure you get back on your toes and make sure that there's no underage service, because that's what's gonna get you in trouble, and that's what will cause you to lose your license from this board, and I know you don't wanna do that. You're running two businesses in the city. We haven't had any issues, with you, but this place just opened in April. It's October, or it's November, and, 6 months, and you got one, that's not good, okay? So I know your council, I'm sure read you the riot act and told you, this is a serious thing and you gotta be on your toes. So, you get one bite at the apple, at least in my eyes. I can't speak for the other two commissioners, but make sure it doesn't happen again. We don't want to see you here, okay?
Okay, yes, thank you.
Just to follow up, you have ordered the signs for this ABCC. What happened to the originals?
We never got one.
Ryan, did they?
Apparently, they didn't request delivery of any of the signage prior to the police on the premises. You have to get them through the Alcohol Beverages
Yeah.
Control Commission,
They never ordered.
so they never requested them
all right.
beforehand.
Thank you.
All right, I'll make a motion that we put the complaint on file.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Commission will now open up the hearing on the matter of package store licensee for malt beverages and wine only, Amal Fuel Inc., doing business as Drum Hill Golf, 1299 Westford Street, Richard Alcori, manager. The incident on which the police, doing their compliance check, cites the allegation of sale of an alcohol beverage to a person under 21 years of age, a violation of Chapter 138, Section 34.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Richard Alcori.
Richard Davenport.
Okay. Would you like the complaint read into the record, or can the lieutenant just summarize it?
Yeah, we don't dispute it.
Okay, if you could just summarize the complaint.
On September 25th of 2013, detectives assigned to the Special Investigations Section under the command of Captain Webb were conducting compliance checks of licensed establishments in the city. Detectives were assisted by a 20-year-old male while conducting these checks. The male had no identification on him and only that money which had been provided to him by detectives. At approximately 7:20 p.m., the 20-year-old male entered the Drum Hill Golf at 1299 Westford Street. The operative purchased a 12-pack of Bud Light beer from the female clerk and was not asked for identification. Captain Webb and Detective Desilets then entered the store and identified the clerk as Doreen McQuaid. Ms. McQuaid was informed of the violation.
What do you have to say?
Well, first, we're really sorry it happened. We have a policy to card everybody that comes in, regardless of whether they look older or younger. And obviously, she did not follow procedure, and, it's in our handbook. We train them, we remind them. We have the tools for them to use. I mean, we have a machine to check the IDs. She did not, and we're really sorry.
What's her status with your company?
She was let go.
She was let go?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Uh,
I mean, we have a handbook that specifically says you have to follow these rules.
Yeah.
And she signs. She reads it, she signs it, and she did not.
Well, the other two commissioners weren't here when your license got approved, but I was, and, one of the concerns with a gas station having a license is you have a lot of people in and out of that establishment, because people, it's a good spot, and people go in and out and get what they need to get. But it makes it even more important that you check everybody's license that come in and out of there, because you're right on that Chelmsford-Lowell border. You remember when the license was issued, we had the people from Chelmsford complaining that we were gonna issue it. So you gotta make sure that you card everyone that comes in. Ryan, have they been before us before?
Yes, last summer, Mr. Davenport, as a matter of fact, appeared, this is in June, in which it was a similar situation where a compliance check and not having asked for the ID.
And what do? We put it on file?
It was placed on file.
The concerning thing is that you've been here before, so it can't happen twice. You get one, like I said to the previous person, I think you get one bite at the apple. It's serious to do that. The other thing is, just as an aside, with your mailing, what's up with your mail?
I have no idea. For some reason, they're not delivering our mail. You know, they do at certain times. At other times, they don't, for some reason. I don't know.
Well, we gotta make sure that we can get stuff to you, okay? Because we've had issues.
And it's just so by coincidence, Mr. Davenport had emailed me on the matter of the renewal.
Right.
And it was, after that matter had been addressed, I let it be known to Mr. Davenport by way of email that there was a notice that was sent out of a hearing that was scheduled for this evening. I'm not sure if you've actually received the mailing. Have you received any of the mail?
Yeah, we received a letter on
Yeah,
for that.
and it's, you know.
Okay, so they did.
So at times, we receive the mail. At other times, we're.
Well, we gotta get that straightened out. But as I said to the previous license holder, you know, twice in a year, you guys have served to an underage person. You know, I find it highly unlikely that the only 2 times you've served to an underage person, they happen to be compliance checks. So it's happening frequently, in my view. So you gotta make sure that every employee is checking the license and the identification every time. You know, these people that come in for the compliance checks, if they're asked for ID, they're supposed to just turn around and walk out. So they're not even fooling you. It's just, you're not asking. It's gotta be done.
No, we totally understand, and we really take it very seriously. And it's a constant reminder, I mean, you know, to all the employees that they have to check IDs. And I'm really sorry that it happened twice within that period, and it shouldn't have happened, but, you know.
Ryan, when was Drum Hill Golf issued their license initially?
It was about 2 years ago.
I'd like to say three years ago.
3 years ago?
So don't quote me on it, but
Now, you're the manager. Mr. Davenport, what's your capacity?
I'm also a manager at the store.
Both co-managers? Okay.
Well, let me just clarify. Mr. Alcori is
So
the
the
manager
owner.
and owner of the business. He is the manager of record, Mr. Alcori. Mr. Davenport serves as the general manager in a capacity of, in his employee status with Mr. Alcori, but Mr. Alcori is our person you wanted
I'm the owner.
concerns or issues are with Mr. Alcori.
So this process with all the clerks, who is the one who initiates this policy that the clerks have to follow and then sign?
We both do, and we come up with the handbook, but we interview.
Could you get closer to the mic, please?
Oh, sorry.
I generally do the hiring for the
Yeah.
for the store, and typically before anyone starts employment, we make them sign a handbook, and we also have a one-page waiver sheet that says, you know, we'll card every customer that comes in, and they're required to scan every ID regardless of age. So for this person to not do that, it's a direct violation of the contract that we put in front of them.
Thank you.
Still no excuse that they sold, you know, we're still responsible for it, but.
Understood.
So, do you use the postal service for anything, paying bills, receiving bills? How do you get your bills?
No, via mail. We get it via mail. We get the permits. I mean, you know, some of our permits, being on the border with Lowell and Chelmsford, we get some mail from Chelmsford, some mail from Lowell. So we get both of them. But for some reason, you know, few of the mail from Lowell does not arrive. And we've talked to the post office about it, you know, a few times, and, you know, it still happens.
Have you ever thought of a post office box?
Not really, but it's an option. It's an option.
Yep, because as I recall, there was a problem the last time there was an allegation with getting the paperwork to you. This is not the first time
True.
that you've been hard to get hold of.
I'll make a motion that we suspend the license for 1 day, and we hold it in abeyance for 6 months.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. In the negative?
Aye. Nay.
Nay, okay.
Passed.
He's nay. You got
I'm
two-
a nay, but it
Nay.
passes.
Okay.
You're all set?
You're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commission will now open the hearing on the matter of Camilla LLC, doing business as Reservations, 179 Central Street, or George A. Torres, manager, the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee. Violations alleged: sale of alcohol beverages to person under 21 years of age, Chapter 138, Section 34. Failure to display alcohol beverage control commission posters stating summary of law, Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 34A. And also failure to display ABCC posters or penalties for driving under the influence. Mr. Torres?
You know, this one concerns me because I don't know if either one of you are here when we've dealt with them in the past, but we had a big issue trying to get a hold of them last time with the fire department trying to get in there and then with the mailing, correct, Ryan?
What it really stemmed from is, as I recall, last year at this time, it was about it was a complaint, failure to with the compliance check. And notice was sent, and I believe Mr. Torres did show up, but the question was on, he was not the manager of record at the time. Mrs. Diaz was, and she's his mother. And subsequent to that, there was mailing on the, having her appear because she is the manager of record. And there was issue with proper mailing and not receiving the mail at the business address, which is 179 Central Street. So there was a protracted period of time in which we finally had Mrs. Diaz, Mr. Torres, her son, and an attorney representing them on what was the issue of proper mailing, receiving their mail, and apparently there was some understanding that they were going to establish a mail slot to receive mail at the business address, and the commission was given assurance that that had taken place. Also, that the commission was in the process of approving the change of manager for Ms. Diaz, who was believed to be out of the country initially, and so Mr. Torres, her son, was to be the manager of record. So this is subsequent to that situation, which the commission was accepting of, and the incident of the compliance check was such that the result was that the matter would be placed on file. But it was the big concern about the mailing and receiving the mail and who was to be the manager, because Mr. Torres was explaining to Lowell Police that he was the manager, when in fact he was not.
And we did send them, and it was returned to sender, attempted not known, unable to forward. And
The envelope you have in your hand is first-class mail.
right, and it's addressed to Camilla LLC, DBA Reservations, 179 Central Street, Lowell, Mass. 01852. And that's what we have as their mailing address and all their paperwork.
Right.
And then the same thing with the certified mail. And I just before the meeting, we tracked this, and it says moved, unable to forward. But obviously that business is running, correct?
This is,
Yes, sir, I believe that it is currently running.
Running, yeah. So they haven't moved. So, I mean, I don't know what you guys want to do.
How quickly can we pull their license?
We gave them proper notice, right?
yeah, this notice has been given.
No, I mean, but the appeal, if we decide to suspend their license, how long do they have for the appeal?
Well, notice written notice has to be served, and they have 5 days in which to file an appeal upon receipt of the written notice. Typically, mailing is done first class, and if out of necessity, we do the first class return receipt, certified mail return receipt, as well as a second letter by first class mail. So that could be, done tomorrow, if there is any decision the commission may wish to make as far as the license suspension. But not responding to the notice of hearing at this point in time is another issue that may need to be looked at by the commission.
What are their hours? Aren't they
Well,
kind of odd?
Licensees tend to, some licensees will do basically traditional hours, which you would have, either they're serving lunch, dinner. Some licensees have decided upon themselves to cater to a nighttime crowd. And I think, if I recall, with respect to Mr. Torres, is what he was telling the commission last year, is that they're closed, I think, Sunday through Wednesday. And then Thursday and Friday evenings, they're open, and Saturday they're open. I think it's like a 3 or 4 day, and it's only like in the evenings, and it's essentially like it's a 5 o'clock to closing.
All right, so we could suspend the license for X number of days and schedule a hearing on their failure to appear. So, for instance, I could propose a 15-day suspension with 10 held in abeyance, with another hearing scheduled in 2 weeks for their failure to appear. Is that correct?
Yes, you may certainly make any motion. That motion would seem to be a motion within reason in terms of,
The only thing is, before we do that, if we could just open up the hearing, and
Right.
Lieutenant, if you could just summarize the complaint.
Yes, sir. On September 27th of 2013, detectives assigned to the Special Investigations Section under the command of Captain Webb were conducting alcohol beverage compliance checks of licensed establishments. Detectives were assisted in these checks by a 20-year-old female. The underage operative had no identification and only cash, which had been provided to her by the detectives. At approximately 6 p.m., the operative entered reservations at 179 Central Street. She ordered a beer from the female bartender and was served a bottle of Heineken beer without being asked for identification. The 20-year-old left the bar and reported to the detectives. Captain Webb and Detective Callahan entered the establishment and identified the bartender as Nicole Nadira. Ms. Nadira was advised of the violation. The detectives also noted that the required warning signs were not present anywhere on the premises, and Ms. Nadira could not produce a liquor license when asked. What appeared to be a license was found posted approximately 8 feet high near the outside door, but could not be read as required by Rule 1-13. If I may add, we also have Detective Callahan present to offer any testimony relative to this case.
Detective Callahan, could you just... If you could introduce yourself for the record.
Detective Callahan, Lowell Police Department.
What is, to the best of your knowledge, what are the hours of this establishment?
Not sure what time they open, but I believe they close at 2 a.m.
2 a.m. And how many nights a week are you aware of their
They open,
typical operation?
I'm sure 5 nights anyways.
5 nights, okay. And were you on scene the night this violation occurred?
Yes,
And did you get cooperation from their manager?
we only spoke with the bartender. They didn't have a manager.
They didn't have a manager? Okay. All right, thank you.
Sure.
What's your guys' pleasure?
Elliot, speaking upon what Commissioner Krieger said, is this kind of, are we in ground that we should not be? I'm interested in Commissioner Krieger's potential motion here.
Commissioner Krieger's motion regarding how you structure this
I think at this point, indefinite seems a little much, but I do think we definitely need to send a signal to this institution and to all such institutions in the city. So 15 may be a little much, but I'll move that we go for 10 with 5 held in abeyance, and that we schedule a hearing on their failure to appear.
And how long in abeyance are they gonna be held for?
How long can we hold it in abeyance?
As long as you want.
Given that we'll probably wrap this up, I would say 8 months. 8.
Lieutenant, not knowing the establishment's hours at this point, Detective Callahan said maybe 5 days. On the streets, I'm kind of hearing it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday club type of thing. It's not uncommon to have a Lowell police officer serve this notice?
No, sir, it would not be uncommon, and I believe you're correct, it's mainly a weekend-type business that takes place at that address, to my knowledge and my memory anyway. I was just showing Elliot a previous report that had been filed by Sergeant Lombard of our department back in the summertime regarding sidewalk service and an individual that was in front of the establishment on Central Street with a drink. And it was also noted in Sergeant Lombard's report that, Mr. Torres, who apparently was the manager of record at the time, we believe, had been spoken to before regarding these types of activities in front of his establishment. But to get back to your question, I believe it's mainly Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights that they see most of their business.
Because I just want to coattail on Commissioner Krieger's motion here. If we're looking at 5 days, Commissioner, if we're going to serve this on a Thursday, we probably would want to start it on the Friday. Friday, Saturday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. If that's, I'm not sure how to, if I'm going to second a motion, I don't know where this.
I think that would work out for me. Of course, there's the fact that they have the right to appeal and how that would move it down the road.
They have the right to appeal after the receipt of the notice, so if, for instance, you amended the motion to, start, not next weekend, but the following weekend, Thursday, Friday.
Right.
Saturday, and then the weekend following, Friday, Saturday, they'd receive the notice, they'd have 5 days to appeal it.
Right.
If, and get an injunction if they wanted to, and if they didn't, they would serve those 5 days, and we could still schedule the hearing for them to come in.
Right. Would the commissioner like to
So
amend the motion?
Or either one of you can.
Go ahead.
I'd make a motion to amend the motion to the suspension to begin. That would be, what date am I looking at here then?
I think maybe the November 21st date would be the date you would want the suspension period to commence. Thursday, November 21st. Monday of this week, next week is a holiday, legal holiday. So in terms of
Right.
proper notification and sending it in sufficient time,
And then you could.
and in all probability, it will, if matters don't change in the short term as far as receiving mail, it may require
In-hand
the
delivery.
office notifying the Lowell police
Right.
of the need to visit the premises to secure the license
Right.
on the 21st of November.
Okay.
If, in fact, Mr. Torres doesn't respond to the,
Yeah, and he'll have to appear that night. That's our next scheduled meeting, to the 21st, right?
right?
I second the amendment to the motion.
All those in favor say aye.
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 So moved.
Okay. And just a couple of things to finish up the meeting, if I may. License Commission Office received application by Rosenblum Corporation, doing business as Ornelas Liquors, Shanjita A. Patel, manager of record, the all-alcoholic beverage package store licensee for premises at 1012 Gorham Street. It is requested of the licensee to change the location of its license from 1012 Gorham Street to 1088 Gorham Street, Suite 1B, approximately 5,000 square feet of retail space, the first floor, basement for storage only. The necessity of a public hearing, in terms of the request of the attorney who's filed the application on behalf of Rosenblum Corporation, requesting that a hearing be held at our next regular meeting, November 21st. If the commission so ratifies, publication of the legal notice for tomorrow's local newspaper. The attorney is has full knowledge of the fact that it is required of the licensee to send notice to the abutters and also to any church, school, or hospital within a 500-foot radius.
Series chairman.
So it would be legal for if the commission so.
You'll put it on for the 21st.
Okay. And last is it came to my attention a week ago through the Office of Developmental Services that a former licensee for used cars, Middlesex Motor Cars, Inc., operating at 1600 Middlesex Street, apparently is still conducting business. Now, it's my understanding this licensee, and I have record to show that this licensee has not been licensed since January 1st, 2010. So I notified the Registry of Motor Vehicles Dealer Repair section of the matter, whether the registry will find cause to take action on the matter of any plates that may have been issued to the business Middlesex Motor Cars, Inc. But I would ask for the commission to authorize my notifying Middlesex Motor Cars that they're in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 140. I believe it's Section 58, 59 of Mass General Law, conducting a business without license, and to notify the department, the Division of Developmental Services of that, so that if any issues regarding zoning need to be addressed, the office will be aware that there is no licensee. The commission has notified the past licensee of the illegal activity, presumably if it is conducting sale and service of or storage of motor vehicles.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Agreed.
Yeah, and the police can check that out too, right? If they're selling cars without a license, and they, all right, great. 2010?
Wow.
Interesting.
Speaking of cars, Commonwealth Motors, it looks like sometimes they try and put an extra car behind the sales trailer. I think that's a B-no.
Commonwealth Motors,
Is that the one on,
Isn't that Commonwealth on Rogers Street?
oh, you mean 639? Yes, you're right, I'm sorry, how soon I forget.
it's not Charlie Dare's comment. Well, did we talk to inspectional services about checking them? Did we ask for that?
I'm gonna follow up on that. with
They
that.
cleaned their act up, and it seemed like they were heading in the right direction.
Okay.
They may have had a little slip, a little problem balancing vehicles.
All right, so our next meeting is on for the 21st?
Yes, 6:30.
All right, great.
Move adjournment.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So moved.